What's going on, guys? This is Dan with the FNX podcast. Eddie Guerra is our third guest ever. He is a pastor. He is a Rise 45 Summer Shred winner. He won the $5,000 this summer. And also, Eddie is an elite ambassador. Eddie's been with us for just under 8 months. So he's been part of the squad for a little while. Eddie is a cool guy. He's fascinating. Got a lot of really kind of interesting, more in the weeds conversation about Rise 45, but we're also going to talk about his career, about his life, and really just more about what makes Eddie tick. I just wanted to remind you guys really quick, please rate, review, get on there, whether that is through your Apple, through your Spotify, or whatever you use for your podcast. The first 100 people who rate and review are going to get entered into a drawing to win a $300 bundle. Killer. What's that bundle look like? It is up to you. It is your choice. That's how these things work. What? How nice is that? Rate, review, give us some love, tell us the truth, tell us what you think. So, rate, review, and then jump into the podcast. Let's get started.
All right.
Fun fact. Last week, we had Jessica Zachariah on. She was a Rise 45 winner, school teacher, elite ambassador, amazing human being. My daughters and I sat and watched. I have 12-year-old girls. They are beautiful, wonderful, and also brutally honest. And one of my girls said, "Hey, she makes you look ugly." And I was like, "Oh." And the girls were like, "Were you nervous talking to her? Because she's really pretty." I was like, "No, I wasn't nervous talking to her. I was like, she's just cool." And they're like, "But you look like an ogre beside her." Hey guys, I'm really excited because while
love being on camera now.
Yeah,
thanks for that.
I'm not insecure even a little bit. Now, fortunately, while Eddie is a beautiful man, Eddie Guerra is a beautiful man. He's not Jess, and so my daughters won't be like, "Man, what's wrong with your face today, Daniel?" But before that, Chris.
How's it going?
I'm so good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
It's Thursday. It's my Friday.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you're heading out of town, right?
Yeah, I'm going to a little place called Duck Creek.
Little Duck Creek, as the locals call it.
They call it Duck Creek.
Duck Creek.
My hometown was Mill Creek, and I was called a cricker, because if you live in Mill Creek, you called it Mill Creek.
Mill Creek.
Yeah, I was a cricker, which is also, I think, like a hate speech. Definitely made me feel hated.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a cricker.
Yeah.
He only owns 2 socks.
That's not great.
Chris, in the nerd front, I have exciting news for you.
Yeah. Tell me.
So Chris, you are top 5 nerdiest person I know.
Good.
Or bottom 5. I don't know how we'd rank that.
I don't know either.
We'll call it top.
All right.
Top 5 nerdiest person I know.
Okay.
And I am going to be the dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons. And we do a session 0 this Saturday.
So have you played before?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have. I've dabbled a little bit.
All right, so it's not just like jumping in cold.
No. I've DM'd there was a Stranger Things one.
Oh, and fun. Okay.
I mean, it's like just based on the Demogorgon.
It
was and kind of a little bit upside down.
Yeah.
It was fun. I DM'd that with my brother-in-law and some other family. Pretty awful.
I do feel like I feel like that made it popular again for sure. Stranger Things.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it just helped.
Yeah, my son started playing it after he watched that. Like him and a bunch of his friends. Like they were that group of kids.
Yeah.
Like on the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're gonna do one called Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
Okay. Dragon Heist. I like it.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah.
I got the book.
Okay.
Started reading it last night. Already lost.
Good.
Probably already lost all of our viewers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a full 0.
It's full
right
0.
There. No.
Killing it. That's encouraging. Eddie, you're gonna have to come in and save us here in a few. Before that, though, did you see the Olympic race? I think it was actually yesterday. Was it yesterday or even this morning? I just saw it today.
Yeah.
There was a race where a gal fell down on the last lap.
We've
Oh, yeah, look at that. You already got it up. You're the man.
Yeah.
You're so good. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see it. You had talked about it a little bit. Some other people had talked about it. I hadn't seen it, so I went ahead and pulled it up.
Dude, bonkers.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, if you're out there, and okay, first off, if you're listening to this podcast, this is not going to be awesome radio. If you're watching this though, you're gonna freaking love this.
Right?
Can you just
Yeah.
move me out of the way? Can we move me out of the way?
We can move you out of the way. That's fine.
Let's make this
do
thing.
that.
Let's put the star of the show in here.
Boom.
Let's check this out, man. Watch
Alright,
this.
let's go
Watch
ahead
this.
and
So
take a
it's
look
gonna
at
be what's her name? What's her name?
Sifan Hassan to across the line first. Like, that's pretty great.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the FNX podcast. Eddie, let's get you in here, man.
Let's do it.
Let's get our man Eddie Guerra on the track.
Oh, and
A little bit of me, Eddie, boom.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
How we doing?
Bro, I tell you what, man, that will definitely preach. I hope they gave that girl some reburst or something after she got done with that.
Yeah, go on with that. You can preach that too. Go ahead and preach that too. Yeah.
What? That's right. That's how we do.
Eddie, I'm so pumped to get you on, man. This is
Cool.
exciting stuff we got going on over here. I wanted to get that, infuse that little bit of energy. I watched that earlier today. I had chills. I was on fire. It absolutely just it sets the standard of so much of what it means to just live this life.
Yeah, that's right.
Eddie, Rise 45 winner, lead ambassador. Got 2 in a row here.
Yeah, right.
Welcome, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. We are just back from vacation, so
Ooh.
I'm doing pretty well, man. A little rested, relaxed. Didn't really have a place to do any workout, so I had to do some double unders in the hallway while people were walking by eating cookies, man. So kind
You
of
hit
how it
anybody
goes
with a rope?
sometimes, I guess. No, I did hit the exit sign a couple times,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I had to scoot up a little bit, but
Mhm.
it's helping me to jump maybe not as high, trying to get double unders on. So worked out pretty well. It was fun, man.
You got to learn how to
Thanks for
conserve that
having me, by
energy.
the way.
Hey, man, you're very
Yeah,
welcome.
that's right.
Listen, I knew having you on here, I was excited. I think you are a very fascinating human being. Not just because you've won Rise 45, but just, I've got to know you over here over the last, 6-8 months.
Yeah.
You're a good dude. You're our people.
Well, thanks, man.
And when we get a chance to chat with our people, I definitely want to do it. And especially somebody who I know with you, you're going to bring the energy. I got a
Yeah.
series of questions I want to go through. I want to ask you. We'll just vibe. We'll chat.
Sure.
First question, Eddie. What do you do for a living?
So I'm associate pastor at a church called Healing Place Church in Louisiana. And that pretty much means you do everything. So me and my wife, we oversee 0 all the way through college student-wise. And then we oversee small groups for our campus. My wife leads our women's ministry. We also have 2 ministries that go into prisons. We go into Angola State Penitentiary and into Dixon Correctional Institute. And so that's the first and the second Sunday night of the month. I oversee we do a lot, bro. Can't be a part of FNX and just do a little bit of stuff. But we so also oversee all of our tech stuff, all of our leaders on Sunday mornings, and occasionally preach on Sundays. So it's a whole hat full of stuff, man.
How long have you been doing it?
We've been a campus for 16 years now. So
Wow.
associate pastor for about 5. Me and my wife were the youth pastors before that from the start of the church. So we have about 11, 12 years in youth ministry, and then the rest in with adults, which are basically big kids with money. You know how that goes, man.
I do. I'm a big kid without money.
Hey, I feel that. I'm the same way, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, you want a little bit of money, right? You got a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, and it's all gone.
Yeah. Preach that. I get it.
He just got back from vacation, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I know what
That's
happens in that
right.
vacation. That count
That's
gets real
right.
low by the end of vacation.
Oh,
You're like, man,
does it ever?
I guess we're going. Hey, for our last night out, we're going to Little Caesars.
No, man, we just gonna eat in the room for the last night out. We had some leftovers, bro.
Yep. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
How did you get into the ministry? So I'm curious. Like, last week when we were talking to Jess, she
Yeah.
went into being a teacher, and it's like that's not necessarily something you can just fall into. I feel like with the ministry,
Right.
while it's not necessarily something you can fall into, there's no one clear path, right? Did you go to college? Did you go to like a pastoral college? Like what? How did you get into it?
Oh, excuse me. So Man, well, a little bit about me is crazy, dude. So I remember going to a youth group. Literally, a guy uh, kept on asking me to go, and I was like, dude, I will go if you'll shut up and never ask me to go to church again. And so he's like, okay, I'll do it. So I went, and man, that night, the pastor who is now my senior pastor, which is crazy to think of, he was preaching a message, and I just realized I was down at the altar and I was giving my heart to the Lord. And I'm like, man, I have no clue how I got here, what's going on. And and that night I was laying in my bed and started thinking, you know how like you rehearse some of the things that go on throughout the day or whatever. And I remember looking up at my fan and being like, okay, Lord, I know you're real. It'd be stupid of me to think that you're not, or ridiculous. You know, like I can't. There's no way that I can look at everything in the world, that all of creation, and not believe in you. And so if you want to use me, you got to let me know right now. And dude, I'm not kidding, Dan. The moment I said it, there was like this knock on my window, and it was the same guy who had come back with somebody else and brought me a Bible and said, hey, look, we just want to pray with you and let you know that the Lord has a plan for you. And so I was
Wow.
like, dang, all right, well, let's go. I don't know what that means. So I was in high school when that happened, and was going to church on Wednesday nights and stuff. Didn't even understand like the concept of a Sunday morning church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really weird. Um, but then I found out that Sundays, started going there, and then after high school, I went to Joyce Meyer Ministries. So I did Bible college there for a year, and then got hired on staff for a year. And then I felt like the Lord was moving me back down to Louisiana, and so the food's really good, so we got to eat. And
Reach that.
I come back down, and I go back to the place where I was going to church at, and I met the guy. His name's Pastor Timmy, and he was preaching from the stage, and I felt like the Lord told me, you need to be his armor bearer. Had no clue what an armor bearer was then. I just knew what the Lord spoke to me, so I went and did that, and that's kind of how I got started, man. He said, well, perfect. I actually told him, in a little context, I said, look, I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but I feel like the Lord just told me I need to be your armor bearer. And so what was crazy was he told me, he said, well, I do know you. Your name's Eddie, and I'll pick you up at your house tomorrow. We're going to start morning prayer. And I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. How do you know me, and how do you know where I live? And so it was just crazy, man. And so he picked me up the next morning, and then we would do morning prayer, and they were launching a campus in St. Francisville. And he asked me if I'd come and help, and that's kind of how it started.
I mean, it's more impressive that he was just like, oh, yeah, I know you. You're Eddie.
Yeah, right.
I'll be at your house tomorrow.
Right.
Let's go.
I had no clue who he was. I'm like, okay, this is kind of freaky. Like,
Yeah.
how do you know me?
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool, man. So I feel like, I have, actually this last year is the first time that I've not been in church leadership since I have been a disciple, since I have made the commitment. My wife and I decided to take kind of a step out of church leadership, and while this podcast is definitely not a religious podcast, I don't want to, if you are not a spiritual person, still keep in. Don't let us lose you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I want to hit on this just because I think this stuff's interesting, and I think it's sometimes there's questions that maybe don't get asked. Like one is, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the ministry, in particular, like, hey, all day, every day, all you do is just sit around and read your Bible, listen to some Hillsong United, maybe go on a prayer walk with your wife and take like 2 or 3 naps.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be awesome. It is not that at all, man.
What does your day look like, man?
Man, so it kind of varies, but sometimes we'll do morning prayer in the morning, just depending on what season our church is in. But for me, my start to the day is I get up, I hit the gym, bring kids to school, then I go into the office. So I'm in the office probably somewhere around 8:45, 9 o'clock. Might be a little late for some people, but just depending on how the day looks. So I'll go in there, check some emails, things like that. We'll meet and talk about what the week's going to look like, what prayer needs that people in the church have, who are we going to visit, are they in the hospital, are they at home. On Fridays we cut 25 widows' yards, and so that's not your typical pastor role. If there's something that needs to be fixed around the facility, we kind of all take care of that stuff. We'll go to lunch, meet some people there. It varies on who we're taking to lunch and things like that, and what ministry we're talking about that day. then we're back at the church, and we are counseling. I mean, it's counseling pretty much every day. Somebody's coming in, they're either needing some help with some finances for an electric bill, or their kids in school and they're struggling and they need to talk to a pastor to see, how to. I mean, it's crazy, Dan. People ask, "Hey, can you make my kid better?"
Wow.
And I'm like, you know, um, I can't do anything about that, but Jesus can. And so maybe I can help you, and so that way you can lead your family better. And so we have conversations like that all the time. Sometimes it's setting up for a men's ministry deal or a women's ministry deal, but it's few and far between when we actually have time to sit in the office and read our Bibles, because we're just busy. Our vision for our church, for Healing Place Church, is to be a healing place for a hurting world. And so we also know that hurting people hurt people. And so
Mm.
we're all hurting in some level, on some aspect. And man, there are more people that are hurting than you would think there are in the world. And so it's never a dull moment. We've had people walk in before. I've had a guy that has walked in before, actually a couple weeks ago. He was, I mean, just slap drunk at about 10:30 in the morning, talking about wanting to kill himself and commit suicide. And I know I'm going to heaven and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, hold on, wait, let's sit down. Let me get you some coffee. Let's talk about this. Like, what got you to this place? It's like, oh, I've always just wanted to go to heaven and die. And I'm like, you know, I don't think that's really what you want, man. Like, here's some more coffee. Let's talk some more about this, and let's figure out what the root of this is.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a lot that goes on, man. It's hardly ever listening to music and reading your Bible. That seems to happen more. I have 3 kids and a wife, so that seems to happen more at home after the kids are asleep. And so a little less, let's just go sing Kumbaya in the office, and more of like, let's help hurting people type stuff.
I appreciate that. It's a good distinction too, because I think a lot of times people assume that a pastor or a preacher, your job is what you do that Sunday morning, right? And
Right.
and
So
like
much more.
it's so well, but it's actually it's not even just so much more. Like the Sunday morning is almost kind of like the fruit. Like it's
Absolutely.
you know what I mean. Like it's like the other stuff is like really what it's for. It's service. A lot of what
Yeah,
you've
that's
talked about
right.
is service. It's about
Yep.
building relationships. That's
Hmm.
like I always like I don't know. I'm not going to get too preachy on my end, but it's like to me the misconception about Christianity, which is built by Christians, right? The Christians are the ones who have
Right.
really failed Christianity. But
That's
it's
right.
like the misconception of it is it's like, yeah, it's hellfire and brimstone. And it's like,
It's
well,
so
actually,
not that. Yeah,
like Jesus came and talked about serving the poor and helping those in
that's
need,
right.
um, more than anything else.
Well, and
And
and when you look at it, like Jesus said, when you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me.
yeah,
And what I've found is when I'm, quote, whatever the least of these is, right?
hmm
Because like there are days where I feel like I'm the least of these. And so, but what I've learned is when I'm serving, when we're building a wheelchair ramp for a widow or for somebody who's disabled, or cutting widows' yards, or ministering to people, like it's like you said, man, Sunday mornings are, for me, it's just like the cherry on the top of the cake.
yeah,
And the cake is everything else that happens through the week. Like it happens all like blessing people that'll never know that you were doing something to bless them, helping people that are in need. And what happens is you begin to find out how much more you are actually in need of Jesus. Maybe not as like everybody's in need of Jesus, right? Like,
hmm
but you find out how much more you need him through serving, and you find out how much more of kind of the least of these you are, because none of us have it all together, and none of us, like on my very best day, I'm still not a very good person aside from my walk with God,
yeah.
my walk with Jesus. And so for me, when you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. And so that's how I look at it. Like, God, I'm serving these people because I want to serve you.
Reach that, man.
And so
Well,
that's
and
that's
that
kind of my
so that
flow.
actually is an easy segue into to wellness and fitness then. So for
Yeah.
those of you who have stuck around, thank you so much. Those of you who begrudgingly stuck around because I promised. Um, okay, so that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of tension that you can have in a given week, in a given day.
Oh, yeah.
So before Rise 45, what did you do just when it comes to, how much did you exercise? How was your fitness prior to jumping into Rise 45?
Man, honestly, like I thought I was doing well, but then I did Rise 45 and I'm like, I suck at all this. Like I can't, Dan, out of, if there was 4 parts to a workout, I was Googling 3 parts of it because I had no clue what it was that I was supposed to be doing. And so in the middle of the gym, like, okay, I know I need a barbell and some weights. And I'm like, what is an overhead squat? I'm like, what is that? Like, what is a hang clean? Like none of those things. I didn't know any of those.
Yeah.
And so right before Rise 45, I had shoulder surgery. And so they actually had to clip my bicep, drill a hole through a bone, and relocate it.
Ooh.
And so that was probably 5 months before Rise 45. Yeah, 4.5, 5 months, something like that. And so I played sports in high school. I did all that. I played soccer, did football, was an ROTC. You kind of got to be a little bit in shape for that kind of stuff. So I did all that. But I was not your guy that's like, you would look at him and be like, yeah, he's been in the gym. As a matter of fact, they used to call me Candy Machine Eddie, and so that tells you
What?
about how well I ate.
Okay, let's sit on that one for a minute. I'm writing that down.
Feel like that goes to I feel like there's a nutrition component there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the hardest thing for me at Rise 45 was the nutrition, because I would just eat anything, and like I think I told y'all this. It was nothing for me to sit down. I love sour cream and onion chips. I still do to this day. But it was nothing for me to sit down with a family-sized bag of sour cream and onion chips and eat it before we finished watching the TV show and be like, man, this thing was brand new when I opened it. How did I get to the bottom of it already?
Go?
Exactly, because I didn't eat it,
What kind of like Lay's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lay's sour cream and onion.
Yeah, that's
I feel
my
like
jam,
that's when
man.
you
I had some today.
That's when you make the choice to be like, well, I'll have some left over if I do the party size instead of the family size, and you just go through that one as well.
Yeah.
It does not matter, dude.
Yeah.
I've gotten up.
You still find the bottom.
Yep.
That's right. I finished a bag, and literally the day before Rise 45, I finished a bag and went to the grocery store and got another smaller bag and ate that on my way back to the house. It was bad, y'all.
That's awful and awesome. It makes me it just made me think about Stephen King. Is awesome writer. I'm a writer. I love Stephen King. I find Stephen King very inspiring when it comes to creation. Stephen King, he has a book called On Writing. Such a good book.
It's a great book.
And I think it's a great book whether you're a fiction writer or nonfiction writer.
Oh, yeah.
It's just tools in a toolbox. There's so many good lessons. But he talks about his struggle with alcoholism, and when he first starts going to AA, his sponsor says, well, okay, how much beer do you, or how much alcohol do you drink every night? And his answer was, all of it. And he's like, well, how much is all of it? And he's like, well, it just depends what I have at home.
Right.
If I have a case, I drink all of it. If I have 2 bottles, drink all of it. And so, Eddie, sour cream and onion chips.
All of it, bro. Like, it was rough, dude. There was a time where I told my wife, I'm like, you're going to have to take my card, my bank card, because I just can't stop. Like, it's an addiction, man. Like, people, for me, and it sounds foolish to say that, but like, people are addicted to things that are so much worse for them. But for me, it was an addiction, and so it's still an addiction that I got to fight every day. Like, I bought a bag of chips on our vacation, we just got back from, and I talked myself into only eating 17 a day. Not 17 bags, 17 chips a day.
17 bags would be impressive.
That would be bad.
I won Rise 45 and only ate 17 bags of chips every day. That was my diet.
I did have to do 17 chips a day, though. And so that was my thing. It's like, I got to have them.
I mean, in reality, that's that's one of the best way to do things, right? If you put full, especially on things like nutrition, you put full restriction on it, it just makes you want it more.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
so
exactly
right. So if you're able to just be like, you know what, like, I tell any of my nutrition clients, I always say, like, eat the dang cookie. Like if people, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, just eat the dang cookie, because like if you don't, you're gonna regret it, and you're gonna eat an entire sleeve tonight. So
that's right.
Just eat the dang cookie.
I mean,
Yeah, what do they say? Everything in moderation, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. There's no
It's gotta be.
with. I mean, so actually, we'll jump into this. When you started Rise 45, did you do macros?
So I had no clue what a macro was when I
Okay,
started.
good start.
Um, I literally just I had been in the gym probably since my shoulder surgery. I started with some 5 pound weights, right? And I just told my fitness coach, I'm like, look, I suck at this. Like I eat everything. Like we'll go get groceries and I'll eat everything in 2 days, and then we have to get more. So like I need somebody to tell me how I need to eat. Because if I
Mm,
can see a list of like, eat these things, don't eat these things, like eat these things at this time, I feel like that would help me so much. And so she gave me some pointers, and I love the fact that with Rise 45, y'all partnered us with a nutritionist. And so when she called and said, "Hey, what are you thinking about? How are you thinking about your nutrition?" I said, well, this, I literally read her what I had and said, this is what I'm thinking. I hadn't started it yet. And she's like, I mean, this is perfect. Yeah, go ahead with that. And I'm like, okay, you have any other pointers? And then she's like, eat some cauliflower and, put this stuff in your smoothie, da 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 da, and it'll help. Oh, excuse me. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so I was doing all that stuff and didn't even realize I was doing it at the time, like when Rise 45 started. And so I think that's
yeah,
kind of what helped me see the results that I saw so fast.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
So before, I mean, were you? I know that you said there wasn't a whole lot there, but I mean, like before, when you were younger, like high school, anything like that. Like, did you have an athletic background besides, I think you said ROTC, but like outside of that?
Right. So I wrestled in middle school, and then I wrestled again in high school. My parents moved around a lot, and so I wrestled, played football. I hurt my knee, so I couldn't play that anymore. Of course, ROTC, like you mentioned. I played soccer for 9 years, so I was very active, and I ran track for our school. And so I was very active, but again, I mean, at that age with your metabolism, you could just eat whatever you want. And so hence the name Candy Machine that they gave me. And I would just eat that and get just junk all the time and not gain any weight. I mean, I was 145 pounds all through high school and like 4.8% body fat because of
Yeah.
all the sports that I did. And and we had to be in the gym for like weightlifting and things like that, but I just never took it seriously. I just kind of was like, yeah, let's throw some stuff on there and talk. And that was really the extent of my weightlifting and things like that. But I was athletic. I did run a lot in track, and to this day I'll tell you that I still do not like to run. I know I need
That's
to.
funny.
But hey, that's just running's for some other people other than me. So
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Candy Machine. All right, Candy Machine.
they
How
had to
old were
keep
you
them
when you
sour
got
cream
that
and chips
nickname?
stocked. Oh my gosh. Freshman in high school.
And
So
and did you like that
how old I
nickname?
was. I mean, they made me a beanie with it on the back of it, like grant monogrammed on the back. So I just roll with it, dude. I was like, I will accept it and eat all of it.
What was your go-to from the candy machine?
Sour cream and onion chips, man.
Just every time, just that. Just
Yeah, that and them little chocolate donuts, bro. That was my
oh
jam.
yeah, yeah.
That's actually that
That's
that
right.
or a Nutrageous. Those are the two for me, like road
Ooh,
trip foods.
Mm,
I'll do one of those two.
yeah,
yeah.
That's
those are
I'll
good.
probably end up having. I think I'm gonna do Nutrageous today on the drive. We're leaving right after this, so
Nice.
I'm like, hey, I think we're
That's what I'm
gonna,
talking about.
yeah, man. But yeah, those little
Star
donuts,
Crunch
man.
was big for me too. I don't know if
Ooh.
y'all remember Star Crunch.
The little Debbie's, or is that what they were?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, it
I
was like
remember those.
yeah, those things were so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
might
haven't
have to
eaten
go
in a
get some of
while.
them.
I haven't eaten in a while. I don't like this
Yeah.
conversation.
You
And shifting
asked, bro.
gears.
Yeah, I did. It was my bad. That was my bad, Candy
It's all
Machine.
good. It's all good. It
Does anybody
happens.
still call you Candy Machine?
No, just you.
Your wife doesn't call you Candy Machine, like if you're like extra
No,
sweet, like she's not, hey Candy Machine,
dude,
nothing
no, I'm
like
not
that.
that sweet. No,
No.
no. We went to the same high, dude. We went to the same high school. I graduated the year before her, and we never met each other. It was
Wow,
crazy. It was
interesting.
crazy. And we lived
Okay.
5 minutes from each other, and we never ran in the same friend circle or anything like that. It was crazy, man.
Wow. I feel like she should call you just to make up for lost time. All right. So switching gears a little bit from there, how did you find FNX? How did that happen?
Man, it was crazy. So I literally had so right before my shoulder surgery, I had this crazy like numbness running down the right side of my body from like my shoulder all the way down to my leg. And they were probably battled it for the better of a year, almost a year and a half. And there were days where I couldn't even get out of bed. Um, and it would just hit in a moment. Like I would either my shoulder would hit something and it would just send almost like like when you hit your funny bone, like that kind of tingling sensation, but all the way down my leg. And I'd start limping and not be able to, like my foot, I can remember telling my brain to walk and my foot would just drag the whole time. So it was really crazy. And I just remember not being able to sleep and being in a bunch of pain one night. And I went to my local gym and I was like, I'm gonna try some box jumps. Maybe that'll help. I don't know why I thought that, but I was like, let me just try it. And it's like 12:30 in the morning and I'm trying these box jumps and I just do this awesome box jump and I fall flat on my face. And I'm like, this is horrible. I got to figure out something to do. And so I started looking on, because everybody looks on Instagram when they're in the gym. And so I'm looking on Instagram and I'm scrolling through some stuff and I'm looking up, like hashtag fitness and things like that. And all of a sudden I see this thing that says recruiting ambassadors. And I'm like, well, what's an ambassador, number one? And I started seeing some pictures on there. And so it said, just DM us. So I sent the DM and I was like, I just need some help. And so the next day I got a DM back and saying, hey, look, we'd like to get in touch with you. We'd like to have somebody call you, okay, cool. So I filled out the little deal. And then one of the guys from FNX called me and said, hey, what do you know about our company? And I said, hey, just that y'all are recruiting ambassadors. I don't know anything else. And so the guy started to talk to me about what the company was about. And I noticed that y'all do for everything that's every product that's sold, y'all donate a gallon of clean drinking water. So I really latched onto that. And I was like, I think I'll give this company a try because of that, because that's something I can get behind. As a pastor, I'm like, I love to help hurting people. And if y'all are going to help people who need drinking water, man, I mean, I've not really tried any, any supplements or anything like that before, any products, but I'm willing to try it because y'all are going to give a gallon of drinking water away when I do that. And so that kind of started the whole process with FNX. And then it was a couple months after that y'all had posted that y'all were going to be doing Rise 45 and told my wife, I was like, hey, I think I might try this 45-day fitness challenge. And she immediately told me, and you can't make this up, she immediately said, I think you can win it. And I'm like, I mean, no, maybe like 10th place, maybe depending on how many people, but like, have you looked at me? There's no way I'm going to win it. And so especially with all that stuff I had going on, on the right side of my body with all my nerve damage, which they said I had severe nerve damage. And I'm like, from what? I didn't do anything to get severe nerve damage. And so, and the Lord healed me of that. And it wasn't much longer after that I had mentioned to her about Rise 45. And she's like, you can win it. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm not fit at all. I see these pictures of these people that are going to compete, and they are way more healthy than I am.
That's what our partners are for, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Make sure that we know things that we don't know.
Hey, they're going to inspire you. They're gonna believe in you even when we're like, nah, I'm just a bum. And they're like, yes, but you're my bum. Yeah. and you're special.
Yeah.
Hey, and they'll call you to the carpet when you need to be called to the carpet too.
That's right.
So.
Hey, preach that. I like that. So you joined Rise 45 Summer Shred. So this is version 2.
That's my t-shirt.
Yeah, rocking it. See?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite shirts we've released too, man.
Mine too, man. I wish I had more of them, to be honest with you.
I might have a couple left over. You just hit me up, man.
Hey, can we put Candy Machine on the back of it?
I probably know a guy. We get one of those cricket things out there, hook you up, man.
That's funny. Let's do it.
I love that. So you joined Rise 45, but I recall that like the midway point, you wanted to quit.
Oh, bro, 100%. I think it was like, I don't even think it was a midway point, to be honest. Of 45 days, so it was probably like day 12 or 13.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, I just can't do this. Like I miss all the food that I eat, like I just miss it. And so like 7 eggs a day is easy for some people, but like I struggle to eat two a day, And so like I missed the food. I missed like not drinking as much water because I mean 96 ounces is a lot of water, bro. And so I was struggling to drink my water. I felt like an idiot in the gym because I'm sitting here Googling stuff like what's a power clean? And I don't know what that is. And I'm having to watch a video so I don't hurt myself so I can do it right. And people are just looking at me like, why are you even here? I'm like, come here because I'm trying to win, man. So, and then the supplementation, like the supplements are great, but I'd never taken supplements a day in my life. And so I'm like, I don't know when I'm supposed to be taking these, how much I'm supposed to be taking, all that. And so, man, I tell you what though, like when I made a post that said, I feel like I've hit a wall. I feel like I can't do this anymore. Does anybody ever feel like this? Because I'd never felt like that before. And man, just the responses from other people that were in Rise 45, like other people I was actually competing against,
yeah,
saying, "Hey, you can do this." It's like you're halfway there, or you're almost halfway there. Like keep going. Hey, people direct messaging me saying, "Hey, I'll help hold you accountable if you want. Like I'm here to help you. Let's do this together."
Oh wow.
And because sometimes you go in the gym and it can be full of people, but you feel like you're all by yourself in there. And and that's whether it's in the gym or in life. You're walking through something and you feel like you're by yourself. And for those 45 days, I was like, man, my wife is having to take care of getting the kids ready for school and waking them up and doing all that because the only time I could commit to going was early in the morning. And I didn't think it was going to take me 2.5 hours to do these workouts, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to do my research and it was crazy, but it was worth it. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life too, because I learned more about myself, not just physically, but spiritually. I learned more about myself emotionally. I learned more about my family dynamics, like how when I am healthier, how the health of my family is better as well. And not just the health of my family, but the health of the ministry that I lead. And I had people that would stop me in church on Sunday and say, on Sundays and just say, look, I don't know if this is going to sound weird, but you looking good. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. I appreciate it. And they would say, but the reason I'm stopping you is because you seem like you're just way more confident in who God's called you to be. And I sat back the first time I heard it. I was like, you know what? That's right. I am more confident. It's not like a cockiness or an arrogance, but I'm confident because I'm healthier, because I feel better, because I have surrounded myself with like-minded people who want to better themselves as well, not just spiritually, but physically with Rise 45. And so for me, that was one of the hugest wins I could have this year, was to be a part of that. And not just see the results that I've seen, but to meet people that are genuine and honest and sincere, and more than wanting to win a competition, want you to win at whatever your goal is.
Guys, just wanted to take a quick break and let you know that we are offering a special for all of our podcast listeners at the fnxfit.com store. So site-wide, you can order any product and use FNX Pod at checkout to get 30% off your next order. Yeah. When we did the first iteration of Rise 45, I think that was something we noticed, where it was like the community that rallied. I mean, like the first iteration of Rise 45, I remember like we were at day like 30, and people were like, "Hey, let's run it back like day 47. You guys take it. We can all take off day 46, and day 47, let's jump back into it." It was like the amount of people who were just so committed, and so when we were prepping for Summer Shred, that was something that we talked a lot about, where we were like, okay, how do we capitalize on this community to really build people up? I've had an opportunity over the last few weeks to chat with a lot of our new sponsored athletes. So we're we're taking a different approach. We're chatting with some people about sponsorships, and one of the things that I'm pretty adamant about when it comes to these sponsored athletes is it's like you got to fit within the culture. We did a
That's
poll
right.
a little while back on our ambassadors, or to our ambassadors, and we're talking like a year and a half ago, where we asked them
Mhm.
about what they loved the most about us, and number one was a culture,
Cool. That's right.
which I got to tell you, pretty cool. Also, we are not a culture company, per se. We're a brand that sells supplements, and so, but it's like I think it's so my own personal opinion, my own personal conviction is that is a testament to Adrian.
That's right.
Adrian and our CEO Skylar, those two, the culture that they've established and the messaging that they push out. But to know that that's what resonates, it's like, okay, so what we want to do is we want to have these extensions of the culture. We want to have those
Yeah.
out there for people to see and people to experience and people to feel and notice, and then for them to replicate out into the rest of the
Yeah.
world.
That's right.
What that looks like is obviously different for different people.
Sure.
But when it comes down to it, like the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, which
Yep.
is still active. I just saw somebody post yesterday,
Yeah.
or this morning. It might even be this morning. But
I think it was this morning. Yeah.
right, and then it's just like, oh yeah, man, that's the squad. That's the squad right there.
That's
Like
right.
what for you was the hardest part of Rise 45?
Hands down, the nutrition, man.
Nutrition was.
That was the hardest part for me. I can't say it enough. Like I never ate right. But since and I didn't realize I'd enjoy some of the things that I'm enjoying eating now. Just because I didn't eat hardly anything but junk, and so I was super picky. But I didn't realize, hey, I'll enjoy some stuff in my smoothies and on my, burger without bun, with stuff on top of it. I didn't realize I'd enjoy some of the stuff that I like to eat and snack on now. Um, but I will say that even now, after Rise 45 is done, I'm still at the place where I'm like, okay, this has about this many grams of protein in it. This has about this many carbs. And so I'm still counting all those things now. Now I'm not as rigid as I was during Rise 45 with it, but I'm still keeping all that in my mind. And so I feel like that, even though nutrition was the hardest for me, it was one of the things that has stuck with me the most through Rise 45. And it's one of the things that I kind of still rely on now, so that way I can still continue to see my gains and continue, to build a healthy nutrition, even for my kids, because now they've seen me. My daughter's 10, my son's 6, and then we have a year and a half old. And so for 10 years and 6 years, they've seen me just eat a bunch of junk all the time. And so now I'm like, no, let's not go to McDonald's. Let's go, let's go get some grilled chicken somewhere, or let's go to this place that's in our community that is really good, and it's home cooked food and is better for you than, say, a fast food restaurant is. And so, hands down, the hardest part for me was the nutrition aspect of it.
So, I mean, piggybacking on that, if you're saying that was the hardest part, would you, I mean, from what you were saying, would you also say that that's the thing that is almost kind of a non-negotiable moving forward, is just keeping with that
Oh,
nutrition?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Now, I'm not as, like I said, I'm not as rigid as I was with it during Rise 45.
Right.
So like I will have like 20 or 25 sour cream and onion chips instead of 17, so like it's not much more, but it's just figuring out like, okay, because you know what, one of the things I just thought about this, one of the things that I learned in Rise 45 with my nutrition is that what I eat the day before is what affects me in the next day in the gym. And so it
Yeah.
affects my mood in the gym. And I never knew that. It affects my mood in the gym. It affects my ability to lift better in the gym. It affects my overall wanting to be in the gym, And so, um, uh, depending on what I ate the day before, I've learned, and I'm still learning, that they affect so much more than just like, oh, I see it, I want to eat it. And so it's way more than that now for me. But yeah, I feel like nutrition was the hardest part for me, but it's the one that I have stuck to the most since Rise 45 has been over.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I personally think it makes sense that you were able to, and it shows a little bit of that you kind of progressed in that you were able to be like, yeah, I'm gonna eat 25 sour cream and onion chips instead of 17, right? Because our nutrition is always based on goals as well, right? So if your
That's right.
goal is to win Rise 45, right? Then you're going to cut things out. You're going to make little sacrifices here and
Right.
there. If your goal is to be a healthy individual and an example for your
Yeah.
kids and other people in your life, then
Yeah.
25 versus 17 chips isn't going to change that, right?
Right. Right. That's right. That's right.
Well, okay, so an extension just with the diet. Did you find any like kind of jumping into Rise 45, making this pretty drastic change of nutrition? Did you
Yeah.
find any particular sneaky foods that worked really well for you?
Man, so I found that, and this, I mean, I don't know, I never thought about this before, but I found that like putting triple wash baby spinach in my shakes every day, in my blender and everything, I found that that made my time in the gym better, and it was just healthier for me. Um, what else was it? I mean, I'd still eat pizza, but just not nearly as much. But
Mm.
I really found that, because everybody was telling me like, hey, you need to eat this type of fish or you need to eat this type of beef. But man, the thing for me that I really enjoyed was it was just some organic ground turkey meat and eating that with a little bit of seasoning on it because I do live in the South and so we got to have flavor in our food. A little bit of seasoning on it mixed, with some them eggs because you got to get them eggs in and some rice. So I would do more than rice, man. Man, I feel like this is was wrong, but it tasted so good, Dan. Oh my gosh, I would
Wow.
do the organic turkey meat with the eggs, and then I would do some noodles and make them like hibachi style noodles. I'd make them at home in our wok, and I would portion those. At first, I was doing like a cup of noodles and like a half of a cup of ground turkey meat, and then when I realized like that's probably not the healthiest, let me swap those around. And so I started doing a fourth a cup of the noodles and a full cup or sometimes a cup and a half of organic turkey meat. And man, I saw my mood change. I saw like I was getting more gains. Of course, I was taking in more protein and stuff. But that was probably my favorite meal. All of Rise 45 was that organic turkey meat and those eggs, man. Like I'd eat those, and my wife was like, "Man, is that good?" I'm like, "Babe, it's the best thing I've had in 37 days. I tell you what." And she was like, "Can I have some of that?" I'm like, "No, you can't have none." And I realized like I would sit down with a bowl full of it, and I would look down, and it was gone. And I'm like, "Dang, I'm not as hungry. I'm still kind of hungry, but I feel full." And I don't feel like I've ever felt that way before.
Mm.
I feel like I've always felt like, man, I'm gonna eat until I'm like, oh, I can't eat no more. Like, oh, that was so good, but it wasn't good for me because I was eating so much. And so I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like that was my main staple in Rise 45 was the spinach in my smoothie, and then the organic turkey meat was killer for me. I still do it to this day. I did some. I'm gonna do some. As a matter of fact, when we get done, that's what I'm making for dinner. I just decided
So okay,
it's gonna be good.
organic turkey, ground turkey, right? You said
Hmm.
ground turkey,
Yep.
noodles,
Yep. Yep. Some
eggs,
some just
and what kind
yep,
of spices?
eggs.
Because I want to try this.
Oh, okay.
You've
I know,
All
right?
right.
you've
Writing this one down.
you've grabbed
So
my curiosity.
yeah, so okay, so your noodles, man, they got to be like 3-day refrigerated noodles. You can't do like cook your noodles and then put it in there because it won't soak up the taste as much, right? And so I would do what is it called? I would do low sodium soy sauce, a fourth a cup of that, and that's kind of to taste too. But my noodles, like you got to know, I'm doing like 5, 6, 7 cups of noodles, right? Because I'm making it for the whole week, and so well, actually that's like almost 2 weeks, and so I'm making all those noodles. So I'll do that. I'll do some. What else was it? Some Tony's more spice. Just kind of sprinkle that back and forth on
Mm-hmm.
there. A little onion, salt, garlic powder, a little bit of butter, not a whole lot of butter, just enough to kind of get the bottom of the wok going. Um, I'll do 2 whole eggs, 4 eggs, just the egg whites in there. Scramble all those up. That's the very first thing you got to do. Then I would have some green onions in there. I would have some carrots that I would shred. I would shred the carrots and chop them up real fine, put them in there. I would have some onions in there. Some yellow onions are really good in there. What else did I put in there? Uh,
I mean, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, right.
it's so good, dude. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so good. My mouth's kind of watering thinking about it.
Well, and that
Like,
was
I
the
put
other
all
thing
kind
too.
of stuff
That
in
was
there.
the other thing about Rise 45 that I appreciated. And Camille actually was kind of like, I feel like she was like one of the main driving forces. Is she was in the Rise 45 group and like sharing recipes. And it was like, hey,
Yes,
try this.
yes,
Hey, do this. Like Camille's one of
that was
those,
awesome.
one of our other elites, and she's somebody who it's like she definitely kind of spearheaded like I want to say the joy of
Yes,
like just hey man, let's get a little weird with our food. It's
Yeah.
okay. Let's think outside
let's
the box.
mix stuff
Figure
up.
some
Yeah,
stuff out.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right,
that's so good. How did you manage your water intake? Because I feel like that's something people talk
man.
a lot about too.
Oh, it was rough. It was rough. I mean, I remember I was listening to last week when y'all were talking about it too, and I just remember getting up and having to go to the bathroom all the time at night. I'm like, God, I'm not going to get my 7 hours doing this. Like, we got to figure something out. And so for me, I had like one of those big. I still have it. I have two of them in the refrigerator, but uh, two big like 26-ounce jugs. Is it 26? 36-ounce jugs of orange juice. And so once the orange juice is gone, I'd fill that up with water, stick it in the fridge the night before, and I just made sure that while I was working out, because not doing these workouts before, I'd sweat a whole lot and I'm so thirsty. And so I would just, by the time I got done one of those workouts, one of those jugs of water was completely gone. So that was the majority of the water I needed for the day. But I did have another one when I come home, and I would just sip on that throughout the day. And so my goal was 96 total ounces of water. And there were days where I'd hit like 115, 120 ounces of water, especially if we were cutting a bunch of yards. I'd hit so much more water. And so for me, that at the beginning, keeping track of my water and making sure I was drinking enough, it was kind of like a hassle. But towards the end of it, I realized like, man, it's healthier for me. It's healthier than all the sweet tea that I'm drinking, even though it's got water in it. It's healthier than all the sodas that I drink or coffee that I'm drinking. It's just better for me to have that water. And so by the end of it, man, I was finishing two, almost three, big old things of those orange juices of water.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know the demoing Rise 45 the few times now that I have and doing it. Um, water is it's sneaky hard, man.
It
Um,
is.
Especially if, I mean, this was like summer shred, but like during the winter, like drinking
yeah,
that much water in the winter is so difficult.
it really is. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like yeah, like I mean, and during the winter for me, it's like during winter, I just want coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I want.
Like I don't need water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I,
right.
I don't need this.
That's right.
I'm gonna have water. I'm gonna have Restart that has caffeine in it,
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. That's right.
and I'm gonna finish my night with Retire
Uh-huh.
because then it has
Yeah.
it's gonna help me go to sleep, and that's really all I want. So yeah, but that's still it's tough, man. It's a tough draw. That's summer shred. And I think at that point, I think we were actually out of Reburst for a cool minute. So you couldn't
Yeah, I
even.
didn't know anything about Reburst. Well, I did. I take that back. I didn't get my Reburst until we were like 15 days into it, man. And I'm like, this is the best stuff ever. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it makes my water taste so much better. But the only caffeine I had during Rise 45 was what was in the pre-workout stuff, man. That was it.
that's amazing.
It
You
was
don't drink
crazy.
coffee?
It
You drink
was
coffee normally?
normally, yeah. So I was probably 6, 7 cups a day before Rise 45, and caffeine was one of the things that I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna try to like not kill myself by drinking so much coffee, and I surprisingly just quit it cold turkey, which was insane.
That's
But
insane.
I think the saving grace for me
It's
was
crazy talk.
FNX's pre-workout. Yeah, I know, right? So I mean, I had a cup every day on vacation. I'm just gonna say, like, I had my coffee on vacation. We
Yeah,
needed it, man.
yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. You deserve it. You've earned it, buddy. You've earned it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
110%. You've earned it.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Water intake. What was your favorite part of Rise 45? Outside of
Favorite part,
the ground turkey mix,
yes, that was
and outside of
really
winning it too,
my
because I
favorite.
mean that's obviously the best part.
Finding a
But
new recipe, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm still. I told my wife today. I was like, man, I got that interview today. I still can't believe I won that. And she's like, I mean, when are you just gonna listen to me? And I'm like, sorry, we'll start today.
yep.
But
Start
yeah. So
today.
my favorite. That's right. My favorite part of it, man, was the devotionals, was the daily devotionals that you had us do. And I know that's probably not everybody's cup of tea. And so I think we called it mindfulness. And so I'm already spending my time with the Lord, already spending my time reading my Bible. But it was cool to be able to say that was a part of the challenge for everybody, was to have some type of mindfulness. And so for me, that was awesome. That was probably my favorite part, because I would before I'd walk into the gym, I think we had a YouVersion Bible app deal going on there, and it was awesome just to see everybody's comments and how everybody, whatever the topic was or the scripture was for that particular day, to see, sometimes the 9, 10, 12 people, how they would comment and how they felt like the Lord was speaking to them through it. And so it was cool, because there were days where I'm like, man, I've read that scripture so many times and I've never once saw that. And so for me, that was enlightening. It was kind of eye opening to me, and then just seeing everybody's responses from that, and the fact that after Rise 45 was over, we were still all doing it, and so that was pretty cool. That was my favorite part of Rise 45, other than winning it, of course.
Love that. Yeah, it was definitely for us. We've done that for the last two. I love that you switched his name to Candy Machine.
I know.
Yeah,
So
I was like, what?
so for those
Awesome.
listening to the pod, we have our little graphic, and now we have our graphic listed for Eddie. His name is now Candy Machine,
That's
forever.
awesome. Shouldn't have told you
Yep,
that.
yep. Oh man, you better listen.
Now it's on the internet.
Yeah,
So
when you're coming
That's
to the
right.
elite training camp next week, buddy. You better
Oh, Jesus.
believe
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. It's gonna be fun.
that when you
I'm excited.
when you wear that name patch, you better believe you better write on there Candy Machine.
Hey, what? If not, I'm sure somebody will for me.
Somebody will for you. Somebody would
That's right.
be me.
Hey, let's go.
But no, like the devotional piece, like it was somewhere. It's like it's not. So mindfulness for us is something that, for a general conviction between Adrian and I, as kind of the co-creators of Rise 45, it was something that for both of us. It was like, listen, people need a moment to slow down.
Yeah.
People need, like, so often with these things, it's all a big rush, and it
Yeah.
creates burnout. Just like life,
That's
it
right.
happens in life, right? If you're not getting quiet time in a given day, you're gonna harm yourself. You just are.
Yeah. That's right.
And I knew, like, for me, it was like that quiet time was going to be a quiet time. It was going to be time with
Mhm.
open scriptures and with some kind of devotional of some sort. And I thought, hey, like, the
Yeah.
first one, I remember being like, I think it'd be kind of a cool idea to just say, like, hey, I'm gonna do it. It's not gonna help you win, anything like that.
Right.
But it is, like, it's gonna count for mindfulness, because it's mindfulness.
Yeah.
5 to
That's
10 minutes
right.
a day of, I mean, I think what we said was like podcast, book, movie, television that is not, like more like documentary style. Like it's something more
Right.
mind geared.
That's right.
But it's, or meditation, prayer, however you so choose to do it. But it's slow down.
That's right.
Give yourself a beat, and it was a joy to see a lot of the comments and to get to be a part of that. And I think it's one of the things that, I think makes me most proud of, just getting to be around for people's, like, development and growth, and seeing people's
Yeah.
responses, because it did spark some interesting conversations, to say the least. And I got to be honest with you,
That's right.
I didn't even like that devotional. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of tough, man. I'm not
It
gonna
was
lie. I'm
tough.
like, oh man, what did he pick? Golly.
Yeah. Like, it was like, oh, it was bad. Like, I remember, like, I was like day 6, and I was like, this was the wrong one. This is really boring.
Yeah.
But good luck trying to find
Yeah.
a 50-day devotional or a 45-day devotional,
Right.
man. Like, they don't
Right.
make those.
No.
Especially, and
No.
if they do, it's like some, it's some guy who's just bloviating, and it's just like, all right, let's get to the scriptures. Let's get to the
Hey,
scriptures. I
now
want
we
to hear
know
what
why
this
they
guy
only
says.
made that one, huh?
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, everybody else like,
Rough,
no,
man.
you're good. Stay there.
Yeah. And I
Which
was
actually,
look, and I'm going through it. What's
yeah,
that?
I was gonna say, which actually is a good little segue. Rise 45 version 3, aka Monster Mentality, is
Let's
launching
go.
soon. How soon, you may ask?
A couple weeks, huh?
Not a couple weeks, baby.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
Yes.
Nice little announcement on the
Yeah,
pod.
that is not common. That is not public knowledge.
Nice.
This is the
That's
first
what
time
I'm
that we've
talking
made any
about.
kind of statement about when we're doing it. Yeah, we're gonna launch Monster Mentality Friday the 13th.
Ah, see what you
Come
did there.
on.
Yeah, man.
Ooh,
Yeah,
let's go.
yeah. It was a lot. It was a labor of love for me, man. A lot of work. We were very excited about it. I essentially wrote a book for it
Yeah, come
to
on.
help with mental toughness, to help with mentality. I'm gonna get a little
Yeah.
soapboxy, but I look at like the way we talk about mental toughness, and it's super hacky. And a lot of times it's like, Michael Jordan being a jerk and also amazing, and it's like, and we think that you have to be a jerk to be amazing, and it's like, no, man, that's not being mentally tough. Like Michael Jordan was amazing. He's the best basketball player of all time. He's my favorite basketball player of all time, but it doesn't change the fact that being hated and feared by teammates is not always the best way to go. And most of us are not Michael Jordan. And most of us who feel like that's the only way we can evaluate ourselves to be mentally tough, we're setting ourselves up to fail because it makes us pretend to be someone we're not. So the whole premise of Monster Mentality and the whole premise of really what we've done with Rise 45 from the get-go is bloom where you're planted. We want you to bloom where you're planted. We want you to be exactly who you are and to evolve and to grow and to shift, but to do it at a sustainable and real rate, to not put on airs. So it's exciting, man. We'll be launching it. It'll officially start for everybody in September, so you got a little bit of time, but it's exciting. Okay, next question for you, Eddie. Sorry, I had to get that little ping in there. So if you're
No, that's
listening,
good.
if you're listening either to the pod or on YouTube or in the Facebook group currently, the thing I'll tell you is just be on the lookout.
Yeah. Nice.
Chris, are you gonna do it?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I always need to improve.
I wasn't gonna say anything. Go ahead. But we have a meeting after this.
Yeah.
And
Uh-oh.
And we'll
Let's
talk
go.
then.
it's on the list.
Yeah.
Here. Back to you, Eddie. How do you balance such a full life, man? I mean, you got work, family, fitness, your own personal spirituality. Because hey, listen,
Yeah.
you talked about it. Hurting people hurt, right? And
Yeah,
the reality
that's
is, it's like we're all hurting at different levels. So how do you keep yourself healed? So you got all these things. How do you balance it?
Man, it's tough, and to to say I got it all figured out would be a lie. Um, I realized through Rise 45 and even while we're on vacation, like, man, there still is a lot that I need to work on personally, a lot I need to work on spiritually, and a lot I need to work on physically. And so for me, the biggest thing that um, I try to do to be able to balance is constantly ask myself and my wife, um, hey, how how am I treating my family? I ask my wife, how am I treating you? Is there anything that you see that I need to work on? And before you answer, here's what I see that I need to work on. And for me, a lot of times she's like, yeah, those things are right. You need to work on that. Or no, you don't really need to work on this. I'm glad you think that, but that's fine. But you might want to try working on this instead. And so man, it really is a balance. It's hard to, it's hard. I want to spend as much time as I can in the gym now. I used to not want to, but now I do. But it's hard because I know that I've got 3 kids at home and a wife who all 4 of them love me, and I need to be there because I'm supposed to be the leader of my home, the spiritual leader. And if I'm not there, I can't lead. And so I ask my wife a lot. Hey, how am I doing? Is there anything I need to work on? And there are times, Dan, where I've had to say, look, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. There are times where I have to go back to my kids and say, look, I acted this way and that was not right of me. Please forgive me, and can you please not act that way either? Let none of us act that way. Let's act more like Jesus. Let's act more like we love and respect each other. And man, because sometimes it's tough. It's tough to grind in the gym, to grind at work, and to come home and sometimes, if I'm honest, like, you just don't want to grind at home, and you don't
Yeah.
want to. You've been grinding all day, and but I've realized more and more that I have to grind at home. Like the grind doesn't need to start in the gym or at work. My grind needs to start at home because if I can get things right at my home, now they'll never be perfect, but if I can get them more focused and better at home, then my work life is better, and my gym life is better. Everything is better, and it all starts with the way I manage my house, the way I lead my family, and the way I care for my kids and my wife.
How often do you ask your wife that?
Oh, bro. Oh my gosh. I probably asked her 3 times this week. And what
Oh, wow.
today's Thursday? Yeah. I mean, we're on vacation, so I mean, like, it's fun to be on vacation, but when you get back to the hotel room with 3 kids, it's rough, man. And so I'm like, hey, did I handle that right? She's like, yeah, I'm glad you did because I didn't want to have to do that. And so, I mean, now there are. It's not. I don't ask her 3 times every week. There are times where I'm like, no, I know how it was. I don't even want to ask you today. Like I know I didn't communicate that the right way, or I know my tone in that to our kids was not the way it should be. And I mean, sometimes you just got to man up and go apologize. Nobody likes to, but my hope is that my wife and my kids, from me being authentic and me, apologizing when I need to apologize and keep my mouth closed when I need to keep my mouth closed, but also speaking up when I need to speak up. My hope is that they would see somebody who's true and genuine, because the reality is, like, I think there's some crazy statistic that most women marry men that are just like their father. And so I want to be a father that my daughter looks at and says, I hope I find a man like you to marry one day. A long time from now, she's 10, so like 40 years from now, right? But I hope that she gets to the place where she says, no, you're not like my dad, so I don't no, I don't want to marry you. And I hope my son will be able to treat women the way that I treat my wife. I feel like that I've treated her better than I've treated any other woman. Hopefully, she would say that as well. And I never, dude, like before Jesus, I trashed women. Like it was not good. I told the church Sunday morning, I was like, I was a horrible individual before I met Jesus. And that's just me, like
Yeah.
I was just bad. I did things that I should not have done that were very bad and not good at all. I was addicted to a bunch of stuff, and man, Jesus set me free from it. And so I don't want my family, I don't want my 2 sons or my daughter or any future kids we might have one day, I don't want them to struggle with the things that I had to struggle with. And so in order for me to help them be who God's called them to be, or to be whoever they feel called to be, I've got to get it right at home first. And so that's where the balance has to be at for me, is at home. And I don't get it right every day. There are days where I feel like I just crushed it, and then I ask my wife, and she's like, "No, it wasn't really that good today." I'm like, "Dang, all right, better tomorrow." And so there are times where I've just got to say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I'm gonna try again tomorrow."
Hey, I mean, I feel like, I talked about it last time. Just the idea that, I am 37, almost 38, and I'm still trying to get things right. But having,
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like it shows a certain amount of maturity to be able to have check-ins like that,
Yeah.
whether it's with,
Mm-hmm.
a spouse, a partner, or like
Yeah,
coworkers, family members, like being able to
that's right.
check in and just be like, hey, how are we doing? How has
Mm-hmm.
things been going? How do you
Yeah,
feel about it? How, let's talk about this. And like
yeah,
I feel like that's pretty great, and just a really good um, partnership overall needs that. And I feel like it's lacking a lot in
yeah,
the world.
yeah. I agree, because I think like you only have your vantage point on life, and so when you get other people's vantage point, when you get their views of the way things are going, it really helps you to find more of a balance in your life. Because I mean, let's be honest, like I'm the type of person where, like, either things are way over here or they're way back on this side. Like I hardly ever get to the middle. And so asking my wife, and even asking my kids, like, that's tough to ask your kids sometimes, like,
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
even asking, yeah, because they are brutally honest, like brutally honest, like so much so you're like, why did I even ask you?
Yeah,
Like,
right?
I don't, yeah. And so it helps you, like, it helps that pendulum get somewhere in this area. You hardly ever get it right in the middle, perfect, but sometimes you get it right around here, which is really dang good. you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm if you'll indulge me, I'm gonna
Yeah,
quickly change gears, and
sure.
I gotta ask, what is something that you geek out on? Something outside of your job, something outside of fitness, something that you geek out on.
Man, okay. So I used to love playing video games, right? And then I
Okay.
got married and had kids, and so now it's more tough to to play video games. But I think the thing that I am passionate about, other than my family, fitness, and my job, is hunting. I love to hunt. I
Ah,
have a
okay.
bow, and I love, man, I love to shoot anything that's not illegal that'll walk out in a distance for me to be able to lay it down with my bow.
All right. Nice. I mean, is it do you have a favorite game that you go after? Is it deer, turkey? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I love to deer hunt, so I love to whitetail hunt.
okay.
Now that doesn't mean like if I've actually never been turkey hunting, and I want to be,
That's the
but
only
I
hunting
just
I've ever done.
really,
Yeah.
dude, we gotta go, man. We
Yeah.
gotta go.
Yeah.
Look, you take me turkey hunting, I'll take you deer hunting.
Perfect. I love it. I love
It'd
it.
be awesome.
I'll
It'd
eat
be
the meat
awesome.
afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you can have it, Dan. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm in for it.
That's great.
What about you, Dan? Anything for you? What
Me
do you like to
nerding
do,
out.
man?
Oh, geeking out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a lot of things I geek out on, bro. Hunting. So I come from the little small town. So the high school I went to was Huntington, and it literally like it
Come on.
was all like I mean, Central Pennsylvania has I think it's like the world's seventh largest army in
Yeah.
hunting season.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a bonkers number. Like first day of first day of buck season. We have off school.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nobody's
Like
at school. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how it is here too.
Yep. But hunting season, like the hunter safety course, was during basketball season. So
Oh,
I never went and did my hunter safety course. So it was like I know how to shoot a gun. I know what I'm doing around plenty of firearms.
right.
But
Yeah.
I've never got my hunting license. I've
Come on.
shot maybe a few animals in my life. Never a deer. Maybe a
Come on.
few birds and maybe a bunny rabbit that my mother was very angry about.
Yes. Yes.
Some frogs back in the day with the BB gun.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
but I went hunting with family. Usually I just did it to go drink the moonshine. Like they'd keep the gun. They wouldn't let me have the gun. I was a little too young
That's
at that
right.
point, but I wasn't too
That's
young to
right.
drink the moonshine. Go figure.
Well, yeah.
Oh, they pass
mean-
it around, bro.
Yeah. And it kept you warm.
Yeah.
And I definitely am not too young for like deer meat, like deer
Oh, yeah.
jerky.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Um,
Oh, so good.
My cousin who I have a really good relationship with, he mailed me out some bear bologna. Oh my goodness.
Really?
Oh,
Was
like
it?
just
Uh,
a thick, like more of it's a gamey meat.
Mhm.
Oh, buddy,
Okay.
my mouth's watering.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on now.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So
Nice.
and you're a bow hunter. Do you find bow hunting to be more pure than that of a firearm?
It's definitely harder for sure. Um, I just feel like the deer, they have to get so much more close,
Oh yeah.
and so literally like you can have one 4 foot from you. So I can shoot to about 50 yards. I feel comfortable, smoking the deer, laying it down. Um, but like, man, for them to be that close and to hear them sneeze and see all that take place, man, like it's wild, bro.
I can
It's
imagine.
awesome. There have been times where I've watched 7 or 8 does just hang out and play with each other, like play fight. And I guess they were play fighting. I don't really know. It looked like they were not serious about it. But just like doing all that kind of stuff, man, and just sit there and laugh, bro. And it's like watching the sun come up, watching deer do their deer stuff or whatever, and I couldn't shoot any of them because it wasn't doe season. I was kind of upset about that. But like, man, it's fun. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, it's God's creation. This is awesome. This is
I feel
great.
like
Oh,
that's
look,
my
there's some
new
deer.
my new like logo for hunting is deer doing deer stuff.
I was
Yeah,
just
that's
gonna
right.
say like I think that we've established that Eddie thinks that if you hunt with a gun, you're a coward. I
Yeah,
think
right,
that's
right,
what we've
yeah.
established.
Hey, I got a rifle, man, and I just don't have anywhere to use it. So that's why
Yep.
I use my bow so
Yeah,
much. But
because
hey,
you're
if somebody wants to hook a brother up,
hey man, if you're you're looking to hook Eddie up, with maybe a hunting trip, come here. I mean, we got people who, they hunt here. We're in Salt Lake City. People go hunting around here. People go to Denver.
Come
We've
on.
had some really funny stories about some guys on our church, and some guys I have some good relationships with who went hunting in Denver and went like wild hog hunting, which
That's so much fun, dude. Oh my
extremely
gosh.
terrifying. The idea that there are wild hogs just running out amok.
Right?
That's true.
But okay. Last question, Eddie.
All right.
This has been a 4-hour and 18-minute podcast, so
You're about right.
give or take. The time has flown for all of us, though.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered, man?
Ooh, man. I think for me, I would like to be remembered as somebody who was genuine, honest, like there wasn't a whole lot of fluff with me, not as in like having fun, but just as in like you see what you get type of person. Somebody hoping that I'd be known as somebody, remembered as somebody that loves the Lord, loves my family, somebody that was passionate about whatever they put their hands to. Um, the Bible says a man that puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not fit. And so I just pray that I wouldn't waste my life doing something that I did halfway, but I'd do it fully with all my heart. And most importantly, I pray that that my kids, man, after I'm gone, that my kids and my wife, that they would all say that I love them more than I loved anything else, and that I was true and genuine, and that I was a man that was filled with integrity and character. I think that's how I'd want to be. I think that's how I'd want to be remembered.
Well, that is a great answer. That's such
It's
a
a
great
lot
answer.
to be remembered for.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you hit on it. It's completely committed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
think when it starts and ends there, that's what makes it just more beautiful. It makes it more earnest and real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eddie, I appreciate you jumping in with us, man. It was awesome. It was
Thanks for
awesome to
having me, man.
get to know you a little bit more direct.
For sure.
Obviously, over this last year, it's been a blast. I'm pumped you're going to be here next week for our
So
second ever
excited. Oh,
elite training camp.
I'm so ready to get killed in fitness, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, Adrian got some real bad ones stored up for us.
I'm sure after the CrossFit Games, let's go, man.
He's here. He's excited to torture some people. I'll just put it out there, just being honest.
That's right.
I think with that, I think we checked it, man. I think we hit it. We're right at that, like, what, 75, 80-minute mark, probably?
Yeah, no,
Come on, man.
that was, I think it was great talking to you and kind of hearing, this is number 3 now.
Yep.
And I feel like, again, we've had a good little bit of a variety. Each one has been a little bit different, brought something else, something new to the table, and that's kind of the point.
It's the point, man.
Right? It's kind of the point of this.
That's who we are. What's up? Rise 45, FNX. Got my questions here. I don't need anything else, man. We're golden. Eddie, you are the man. Hey, gang, thank you guys so much for spending the time with us, hanging out with us. Eddie, you got any party thoughts before we roll out?
Man, just keep grinding and keep working hard and be true to who you are called to be.
Awesome.
Rage.